This is Kayla.
And this is Becky, and we're with a couple of these reads.
Yes, and we do love our Book of the Month subscriptions. So before Becky opens her box, I do not have a box this time. Because, for 3 reasons. Number 1, I'm going to be too busy to read this June because my own debut is coming out. Number 2, Becky got the book I wanted.
Yep.
And you're about to see what it is. And I don't think there is a number 3. So let's go ahead and see what you got, Becky.
Getting carried away there. Okay?
Got carried away.
That's right. Okay. Well, the book that I got that she wanted, that I filled out and said, hey, this is what I got. She went, well, I was going to get that book.
I'll just read it later.
She'll just read mine later when she has time, because she doesn't. And I'm not sure why I think I have time this month either, but it's by Julie Clark, and it's The Ghost Writer. Yes. Yay. I thought it was very interesting. Of course, it's about the father who is writer of horror, and many years ago he's accused or suspected of killing these 2 siblings that in the town where he's in, and he's had to live with that all of his life pretty much. And then his daughter's kind of I get the impression that his daughter has kind of separated herself from him, but he needs help in writing, and she's financially in need and agrees to do this with him. And then she gets there because she says her father's a liar, and now this is another lie. She thinks she's going to help him write a horror novel, and ends up he says he has tired of being silent since 1975 about what happened that night, and wants her to ghostwrite with him his version of what happened that night. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and Julie Clark is awesome.
Yes. So.
I've read her other books. She's such a good writer. So best of luck.
Yes, I'll read this and I'll save it for you for when, you know.
And then the next is a debut. And here was my real number 3. I was a little disappointed that there were not more debuts as main picks. And I say this as a debut author in June.
Yes, but this was not added on this month. It was added on last month, but it came in later, or I missed it or something. And when I got my book last month, and when I read about it, I was like, oh man, that sounds good. Yeah. And so I was like, I went immediately and put it in my box so I wouldn't forget about it in June. So and the Afterlife, I thought it was really unique because the guy, it's not like I see ghosts. He's like, hey, I taste their last meal, and you're like, ooh, that's kind of weird, you know. But anyway, it was unique is what it was. Very unique. And so he gets into the restaurant scene in New York, which is pretty cutthroat from everything I've ever read about it. And he finds out he can give people closure in their life over the grief. It's like he can in some way facilitate a last meal between them and their loved ones that passed on. But then there's, of course, it can't be that simple and, you know, good. So the person that's supposed to stop him from doing all this is falling in love with him, and because there's something cataclysmic that's going to happen if he continues on this path. Don't know what that is. I'm sure it's one of the twists in the book, but I just thought it sounded really interesting. Daria Lavelle, and I thought it was very interesting. So this is what I'm really, really looking forward to, you know, reading as well. And I think you said you were as well. And this is a debut, right?
This, from my understanding, is a debut author.
Okay.
And had it been a choice for this month or last month, I would have gone ahead and gotten it. Yeah. And let me explain. I'm not saying Book of the Month should have chosen my book.
Well, I am saying I'm the mother-in-law.
You can say that.
I can say that.
But it is really hard for an author to debut in June, because that's when publishers put out their rock star authors. For example, my favorite, Riley Sager, who I guess they're gonna add as a last minute add-on later, but he's one of my favorites. His book is coming out in June. Janet Ivanovich has a book coming out in June. All of these rock star authors.
Christy Woodson Harvey, who's one of my favorite for contemporary women's fiction. Beach Rules is coming out, so yeah, I mean, big names.
Yes,
that, you know.
So it would have been nice to see a debut as their main choice.
Yes, I do agree with that for sure. I think they should have picked at least one. I mean, whether it was their mistake in not picking Jace Harlem or not, but that's just
and while we're talking about this, we don't like talking about controversy on this,
we're
but because we are
people.
But we are big supporters of Book of the Month.
Yeah.
And there was a controversy in this June 2025 pick, and that's with them choosing the author James Frey.
Yeah.
And his newest novel.
I knew nothing about.
I didn't know anything
about
the novel,
old one.
Yeah, I didn't know about his old controversy. I didn't know about his new controversy. I was educated by someone messaging me on Instagram about it, actually. But James Frey, 20 years ago probably, came out with a book called like A Million Little Pieces. It was picked up by Oprah. She said it was great. It was supposedly his memoir.
Yeah.
And it turned out that he had made a lot of it up.
Yeah.
And there was this big, huge controversy surrounding it. He got blacklisted. It was not a good look. And yeah, Book of the Month picked his new but fictional title.
Yeah.
It didn't sound super interesting to me, so I didn't even consider it. That said,
it wasn't my cup of tea either. So.
Yeah. That said, what has come out since is an interview with James Frey in which he admitted to using AI for research and editing.
Yes, yeah.
He admitted this in an
writing.
interview. Not for writing, but for research and editing. Right. That was what was specifically said by him in the interview. Mm-hmm. And it's all over. If you don't believe me, go on Threads, go on Instagram. It's all over there. Now. There's probably going to be more information by the time this video posts. We're filming on June 7th, so by the time this posts, there's going to be a lot more information. Yeah. You can look it up.
Yeah.
But it's been a big controversy. A lot of people, or some people, bookstagrammers on Threads, are saying they don't want to be Book of the Month members anymore. Here's what I'll say. I've been a loyal member to Book of the Month. Mm-hmm. I didn't pick any this month because I'm going to be too busy on the road with my own book. Mm-hmm. Do I wish they'd picked a debut instead of James Frey? Absolutely.
Of course.
That said, I think the best way you can protest this is just not picking his book.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have emailed them their complaints, and there are several screenshots out there that you can go read that are Book of the Month's response. Mm-hmm. From what I've seen of the most recent screenshot I found, like, they are listening. So if you're a loyal Book of the Month member and you're upset by an author using AI to edit, research a book, definitely reach out. Definitely let Book of the Month know how you feel, because that is your right as one of their customers. Mm-hmm. But it does seem that their response has changed since the beginning of this controversy, and that they are more open to that criticism. I will say that in the past, when they've had a controversial author, and I am speaking of AJ Finn, they just haven't picked up his later books.
Yeah.
So it does seem like they are aware, and hopefully they will work to do whatever they need to reconcile this.
Yeah. Because they've always had good customer service, and I think they do value their customers and the customer opinion. But you do have to speak up if that's something that you think that needs to that they need to know about, for sure. Like I said, I didn't know this man. I've never read his books. I didn't know there was a controversy with Oprah 20 years ago, and I didn't know about this one until
I called her and told
me about it, because the person had sent her something on Instagram, and that's how we found out. So just make your voice heard, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, we are not here to cancel Book of the Month. We're not here to cancel James Frey. We're not saying do any of that.
No, we're just here. Express yourself.
Exactly. If you have an opinion, make your voice heard.
That's right.
If this is something you want to discuss in the comments, go for it. I will say responses might be a little slow, because by the time this video airs, we will be on tour in Louisiana.
Yeah. So when we start on the 17th, we have something that entire week. I think we get 2 days off. Then we go to Louisiana, and then after that, then we're in Georgia and in Florida and Lower Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of all over the place with all the other stuff that we do in between.
So please, if responses are slow, you've always been super forgiving in that.
And we love you guys.
We love you guys.
So we appreciate your support so much. So, let us know what you think. And if you're keeping book of the month and you chose a book, let us know what you chose. And if not, that's okay too. All right.
So tell us, as always, what are you drinking and what are you reading?
All right.
We look forward to hearing from y'all. Bye.
Bye, guys.